What the heck is Formula One?
Pole position, strategy,
yachts and parties,
safety car, Ferrari.
beautiful corners.
Oh, right, okay. There's a car in front of you. Try and overtake it.
Oh, I hate you so much.
Hello, you fools. Welcome to the podcast where we hope to enhance your F1 knowledge so you can graduate from full to expert. This is going fucking so well, Skin.
Well done. Well done, Dave.
Speaking of expert, I'm David, your self-appointed expert, which couldn't be more obvious after that intro.
Oh, yeah. Certainly an expert at podcasting.
Yeah, I'm a guru. And with me is Skin, who is the resident fool on this podcast.
Hello.
Hello, Skin.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
New studio?
Nope. Same studio, just different corner of the room. Yep.
Skin, let's just pretend between me and you. Yeah, we won't tell anyone else. Let's pretend that this is a full suit, like it's a whole new building,
yeah.
okay?
Yeah, we got a whole new studio
Okay,
for
so
fools because, I mean, we're just so many downloads,
Yeah.
so many advertising dollars.
Exactly.
You know how it is.
Yeah, money is just rolling through the door. DHL, great people, if they want to jump on board, just delivering it every day.
Oh, yeah.
Cold, hard cash.
But no, it's exciting. It's nice. Nice little setup disc. You've done well.
Yeah,
Pimped
thank
it
you.
out. Looking good.
Thank you, Skin.
Couple couches.
Yeah. You're in South Korea while I did it all.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back.
I was. We recorded an episode where we weren't allowed to talk about it. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. But we're allowed to talk about it now, so that's fine. So that's totally fine. From pit lane antics to racing riddles, we're here to make you laugh and question your sanity. Sit back, buckle up. It's time for Formula Fools. We're going to get started straight off the bat with a hot lap recap with Ryan Smith. We've got the jingle here.
The race is over. It's that time in the show for the hot lap recap. Let's go.
Just the shortened one, obviously.
Thank you.
Not an idiot. I am an idiot though, and I don't have it downloaded.
Disc.
Go disc.
God, I love that theme tune music. All right, folks, come on, buckle up. It's time for your hot lap recap of the Italy Grand Prix, where Max Verstappen reminded everyone that reports of Red Bull's demise have been greatly exaggerated. Come on, let's dive into the madness that is Imola. Now, first things first, I never usually mention qualifying, but because of that crash, I feel like I need to. Qualifying was absolute chaos, wasn't it? Yuki Tsunoda treated us, I suppose, to a physics-defying somersault that would have scored a perfect 10 at the Olympics, launching his Red Bull into orbit at the Villeneuve chicane before it landed upside down and then somehow righted itself. It was a horrific crash. Tsunoda managed to walk away unscathed, miraculously, and he was left kicking himself, wasn't he, for what he called a stupid mistake and pushing too hard. And meanwhile, as well, Franco Colapinto reintroduced himself to Formula One by introducing his Alpine to the barriers at Tamburello. Welcome back to the big leagues, mate. But Sunday was all about Max Verstappen channeling his inner Senna at Tamburello. And when the lights went out, Piastri, he got a decent launch actually, Piastri, but when Verstappen went full send around the outside of that first chicane, a move, so audacious, it has probably violated several local bylaws. Oscar did later admit that he braked too early in that corner, which I suppose is F1 terms of saying that you decided to bring a spoon to a knife fight. And from that first corner where Verstappen bravely stuck it round the outside, he controlled the race like a puppet master, building a comfortable lead while the McLarens squabbled over who was going to claim the silver medal. And just when things were settling into a rhythm, then the safety car lottery began. First, Esteban Ocon's Haas decided to take an unscheduled nap on the hill between Tosa and Piratella, triggering a virtual safety car. Now, this worked out pretty beautifully for some drivers. Verstappen and Hamilton in particular found this very beneficial. And then it worked out terribly for others, including Piastri, who was then forced into another pit stop. And then, in what can only be described as cosmic comedy, Kimi Antonelli's Mercedes broke down in pretty much the exact same spot as Ocon's Haas did. I mean, what are the odds of that? But this time, no virtual safety car. No, we got an actual safety car bunching up the field and setting up for a sprint finish at the end. Now, the restart, vintage Verstappen, clinical, precise and about as generous as a loan shark, gave away nothing. And behind him, the McLaren drivers engaged in a bit of a family feud. Norris, on tyres fresher than the latest TikTok trend, radioed that Piastri's rubber, it looked pretty dead, and suggested that they shouldn't fight if they wanted to catch Max. Not at all. No team orders, though, but, you should definitely let me through, but no team orders. And McLaren, in their infinite wisdom, decided that there would be no team orders and let them duke it out anyway. And 3 laps of orange on orange action later, Norris finally muscled past. But by then, Verstappen was just out in a different postcode. Hamilton, who started 12th on the hard tyres, used the safety cars to vault up the order and finished a pretty remarkable 4th, just 1.4 seconds behind Piastri. And Lewis, he was waving to the Tifosi like he'd been at Ferrari his whole career, not just 5 races and a few sprints. The 7-time champion later claimed, that race, felt vintage, which is Lewis speak for, come on guys, I've still got it. But Hamilton's charge to 4th and Leclerc's 6th salvaged a bit of pride on the weekend, even if Charles did have to hand 5th place back to Williams' Alex Albon after Ferrari kind of feared a penalty for forcing him off the track. Dave, you've probably still not stopped doing cartwheels after this weekend. Albon finished 5th, Sainz finished 8th, and suddenly those blue and white cars are regular point scorers. It's like seeing your childhood pet not just learn a new trick, but start doing your taxes too. It's utterly bewildering, but oddly satisfying, isn't it? And poor old Fernando Alonso. My heart bleeds for him after this weekend. After new upgrades helped him qualify a brilliant 5th, strategy and safety car timing left him 11th. And he came on the team radio declaring himself the unluckiest driver ever. I felt for him. The championship gap has narrowed, with Piastri now leading Norris by 13 points and Verstappen just 9 points further back. Anyway, that's your Hot Lap recap. I'm Ryan, reminding you that in Formula One, the difference between pole position and second place can be who accelerates first. But the difference on Sunday is all about who brakes last.
Wow. Great Hot Lap recap from Ryan.
Oh, he's so thorough. The production value just through the roof.
Yes.
Never disappoints.
Nope. That when he said that thing, floored me.
Yep, same. Wow.
New studio's going to good disc.
Just complimented you on the studio.
We're just ironing out the creases.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I want to start things off with the Yuki Tsunoda qualifying crash. Did you saw that?
Yeah, I saw it.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, it was huge.
That was a big impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else do you have to say about that? Why did that happen?
What?
It's like he's hit. So these cars are made to be sucked to the ground.
Yep.
He's hit a curb and then it's like, whoa, fuck.
Yeah.
Didn't see that coming.
Literally. Yeah. I don't know. The rear of his car just bounced up, and then because it was like bounced up, the front of his car hit the barrier, and then he just rolled over the top of the barrier. Very lucky at the very end for it to land back on its tires, but unreal. Like that must have been a scary one. He said straight afterwards, he was like, I'm totally fine. But yeah, that must have been a scary one.
Yeah, for sure. It's amazing. Yeah. It boggles the mind how safe those cars are. That you see a crash like that and then he's just like on the radio, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And you just see him getting out of the car. It's like, well, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy.
So you say like lucky that it rolled back over onto the tyres.
Yeah.
Obviously that seems preferable. But like what would have happened?
Well, he would have just been...
Had it not, he would have just been hanging upside down for a minute or two while they went and got the crane sort of thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, potentially the marshals may have just like pushed it, like lifted it up so he could get out and...
Right, okay.
So yeah.
But more than likely he would have still been fine.
Oh, it would have been fine,
With the
it would have made no
it's
difference to
not
his
like-
health.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it would have just been a more scary experience to be in.
Sure.
Also, Ferrari sucked in qualifying, like really bad.
Yeah. You reckon?
You see how they didn't get in the top 10 there, Skin?
No, yeah, I saw that. But did they suck that bad, or were Aston Martin just really surprisingly good? Because they were like 6th and 7th after their laps. And you're sitting there thinking, looking at the people below them like, well, they're fine.
Yeah, yeah, literally.
They were not fine.
Yeah, they were not.
Everyone else that did a lap just I don't know. They
just couldn't improve. Just could not improve. But yeah, 100%. When I saw the Astons in the top 10, I was like, well, that's not going to happen though, is it? And then it did happen. I was like, Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. They were struggling in Q1 as well. I mean, we had the red flag obviously with Yuki, but like they had to pull out a lap on their last 2 laps to get out of Q1. Fuck that. It can honestly just stay on the floor at this point. Like, you're just going to see this pole now. I need to think of something different to hook that up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, they struggled to get out of Q1, that was scary enough for them. But yeah, the Q3 thing, it was very embarrassing. Charles and Lewis didn't look too happy in the post-quali press conferences, in the media pen.
Yeah, okay. And then I guess my question after that is, I mean, without trying to give away any big secrets, we haven't dived too far into the race yet, but they ended up being a bit better in the race.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? Let's jump straight to that though, if you want.
Sure. Yeah, because that's sort of my question. Like, why the disparity? Like, did they just make some mistake in qualifying, or is their car not particularly quick over 1 lap, but fine over 60? Like, what would the deal be there?
Not 100%. I mean, we've seen them this year look fairly decent on the tyres during a race. So I'm hoping for their sake that is the case, is that they look after their tyres better during a race, whereas other teams like Aston and potentially Mercedes, depends on the track, don't look after them as well as they do. But yeah, I don't know. It's bizarre. They had a very good race car, great strategy as well during the race, but the qualifying pace just wasn't there.
Okay.
So it's weird. It's a very weird one. And I think when you look at Lewis and Charles' demeanor after the qualifying, it wasn't even like, fuck yeah, we can race tomorrow. It was like, we've got this all to do. So yeah, defeated. And if they have a qualifying like that this weekend in Monaco, that's going to suck because you're going to struggle to even get the points without a crash. You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. Yeah.
Max is a fucking guru. I feel like we're saying this most weeks now, and I feel like I've been saying this for quite a while, but he's pretty good at driving cars, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it to me. Yeah.
What did you make to that first lap move, that first corner move?
Yeah. Well, I guess as the fool, I probably don't have a great appreciation for it. Obviously, it looked pretty cool. I don't really know what happened. He just was behind Oscar, and then he was in front of Oscar. It's like, but I guess my question is, or I just don't understand like how much of that is him being unreal, and how much is Oscar being like not that great or not ready for it, or whatever happened there. Because also, I think when they went back and showed the onboards and the radios and stuff, like George was blowing up at Oscar as if he's sort of done something terribly wrong and not seen it coming.
I can't remember that. What was that?
Well, George had a really good start, right? Yeah. And he looked like he was sort of sitting right behind Oscar, and then couldn't get past. And Max went down the outside of both of them, and George is like, he's just sitting there going like, "Fuck me, Piastri, what are you doing?" But like, I'm watching it like I have no idea what Piastri's doing. It looks like he's driving just not as fast as Max.
Yeah, I think the thing that people are kind of agreeing with George on there is that Piastri potentially braked slightly earlier, but I think going into the lap 1, he was potentially just being quite cautious on his tires, not to overshoot it and end up in the gravel on the outside. So, yeah, I think that's more what George would have been referring to. But Max's move was very impressive because it's just on cold, fresh tires on lap 1, making a move around the outside like that is very difficult to do. He obviously had a good start and made it stick, but like the fact he did that, stayed on track, kept in a pace with Oscar, and then made the move stick, and he didn't touch him. It was just so impressive. Like this is why we need to take you go-karting, because you need to know what it's like to try and overtake someone on the outside, and for you to lose grip on the car.
Right.
Like that, you need to be up against someone else in that position to really know how the car, like what would happen in a normal situation, and why Max is so fucking good at this kind of shit.
Okay. Well, I think I know what would happen if I were doing it.
Yeah.
I would crash.
You would go straight into the gravel. You wouldn't even try and turn. You'd be like, oh, fuck. Straight into the gravel. But no, I think he's an absolute, he's absolutely proven himself this year. Max is. And I think that every race he's turning up at the moment, he's just giving it his all. He doesn't really give a fuck about if he crashes or whatever, but he's actually doing it in the safest way we've ever seen him drive. And it's just very impressive to see that he's really wringing the neck of that Ferrari. Fucking, oh my God. You heard it here first, Max to Ferrari of the Red Bull. I think he's doing phenomenal. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it seems amazing to watch. Like it looks like he just definitely doesn't have the fastest car.
Yeah.
Yet he's being very competitive every week.
Can we talk about Lando as well? Because Lando, your brother Lee, described it perfectly this week when he was like, he's becoming a bit of a wiener, isn't he? He's like, he was like, he's becoming a bit of a whinging pom. To anyone that isn't from Australia or has never visited Australia, a whinging pom is just like a British person that whines and moans and bitches quite a lot.
Yeah, like Dave.
Like me, yeah. Literally like me.
No, but you complain about whinging poms. You whinge about whinging poms.
Yeah.
That's why you don't like Lewis, isn't it?
That's why I don't like most English people. Sorry to all of our UK fans, but...
Right.
Yeah.
And you and Lee think Lando's becoming a whinging pom?
I loved Lando last year. And at the beginning of this year, I was like, fuck yeah, like, come on, Lando, get the world championship. And within 5 races, I was like, I want Oscar to win. Mm. And now I'm just starting to like when he was behind that safety car and he was moaning like, oh, if we want to win the race, we should just fucking overtake him then. You've got fresher tires, overtake him. Like, stop being a little Mardy bastard. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure. I know what you're saying.
And if McLaren want to jump on board as a sponsor for the Oscar side of the garage. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like, it's just annoying me.
Okay. All right. Well, it would be a weird position to be in. Like he would have thought he was, I guess, the better driver. I would like just not realize
he was on the better strategy. Yeah. I get it. Like I so get it, but it's the way you're coming across.
Right.
Like it would have just been better for it. Honestly, if he had just gone, hey guys, I've got fresher tires. I think we should swap the car, and just been honest with them instead of being like, oh, I think if you want to win the race, then, me getting by Oscar, that could be a good idea, couldn't it? Oh, I'm not actually asking us to swap the car, but I'm just saying what I think. It's like, you're actually not saying what you think. You're dancing around the fucking point. Say what you think. Okay. I'd respect him way more if he was just like, mate, I'm on fresh tires. Oscar isn't. Let me past. I'd respect it way more.
Okay. All right.
Do you disagree?
No, it's fine. I don't know. Seemed like a fine question to me to ask, I would think.
But he didn't ask the question.
All right.
That's my point.
Okay, Dave. All right.
We've already kind of spoke about Aston Martin, but holy fuck, that was a great qualifying. And then holy Moses, that was a terrible race. Mm. They messed up their strategy, didn't they?
What was their strategy? What did they do?
They didn't pit during the safety car.
Right, okay.
Everyone else on the field pitted apart from them and then just went backwards.
Right, okay.
Yeah. That sucked.
Yeah, well, that does suck. Yeah, okay. Well, that answers my question because, they were so good in qualifying. I was wondering why they ended up not in the points at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that's where they fixed it up there.
Yeah. I mean, they had to pit. It was obvious they needed to pit for a second time. And then, it got to the safety car and they moved up. Were they like 5th and 6th or 6th and 7th? And it was like, oh, they're in a good position. And then the graphic came up that they'd not pitted. And I was like, oh. And then like 5 laps later after the safety car or 10 laps later or whatever, they jump in the pits and then just
right, okay,
and just couldn't come back from it.
Is that after the first safety car? There were 2 safety cars there.
It was a virtual safety car, then a safety car. So it was after the full safety car,
right?
Which is the VSC. I could kind of understand if the second one was a VSC again, but a main safety car, the field gets bunched up. You need to pit, otherwise you're going to fall to last position basically. And It was a long safety car as well.
Okay, can you explain what did you think of Oscar's strategy after Max overtook him? Because they went and pitted quite early.
Yeah.
Even though there's heaps of talk about the track having heaps of degradation, it seemed like safety cars were like likely or on the cards.
Yep.
He's pitted quite early. Then there's a virtual safety car and a full safety car. I think he didn't pit under the virtual safety car and when like Max got a really cheap pit stop.
Yep.
Did he, have they sort of screwed that up there or has he just gotten a bit unlucky?
No, they screwed it up. And I think Williams mirrored that strategy as well. A few other people did. Maybe Lewis did, but then got really lucky with the second safety car. I can't remember. But yeah, definitely Oscar and Carlos were the obvious 2 victims to that virtual safety car and just the high degradation. So everyone's strategy, like Oscar and Carlos both pitted towards the generic like pre-race strategy that everyone thought was going to happen.
Right.
The problem with that is, and I think I can't remember whose team radio it was, but someone got a radio message to say, stay out longer. The degradation isn't as high and we're actually seeing the medium tires come back. So they went through like a graining or a like they kind of like dropped off a bit of a cliff, but then they maintained it and kind of came back up to speed not long after. So Oscar and Carlos pitting so early and a few other people was a bad strategy because the rest of them, like Alex, stayed out for ages. And Carlos even said post-race, he was like, I almost disobeyed the order because I didn't feel, he was like, the tires I was driving felt like they were semi-decent still. And so he felt he got screwed out of the strategy as well. I don't know if Oscar made a comment on it. It was, it's hard to look at that in the moment. It's a very difficult decision to make. And it was just interesting to see that Oscar still managed to be as fast as he was, even though he would put onto that strategy. Like he still got P3 like very comfortably. But then, it kind of fricked him because in the end, Max and Lando could both pit and be on the faster tyre in that last stint during the safety car, whereas Oscar kind of couldn't because he'd already either used all of them or he would have lost like even more positions or whatever. He was too close to the Ferrari. So, it was a bit of an awkward one for him.
Okay.
Williams, speaking of Carlos, are just fucking gurus in every way, shape or form. We qualified ahead of both Ferraris. There's a clip I put on the doco of Carlos. Yeah, did you watch that?
Yeah.
Carlos Sainz smiling when he got told that they had beat both Ferraris is just, I will watch that till the day I die. That's the best thing ever. Yeah, we're looking very good in qualifying spec. We're looking like we're getting better at having a good race car. Like it looks like we're getting more competitive. We've just got some other little bits, strategy and communication and things like that during a race I think we need to improve upon, but Williams are looking solid for that P5.
Yeah.
I think I made the bet that they would get P6.
Right. Who were you thinking would be P5 when you said that?
Haas, Aston, maybe Alpine. Like Alpine were looking really good the first couple of races.
Yeah, okay.
Alpine seem to be good on one track and then shit on the next. Like they're all over the place right now. Like I don't understand Alpine.
Mm-hmm.
I've not understood them for a very long time. They're French. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they're French. Like everyone gets what I'm saying. They're French.
Okay. That's not racist at all.
It's not, it's more xenophobic, if anything, Skin.
What the hell does that even mean?
It's just, I don't know, but it's a lot more mild than racism. So I'll go with that.
Okay. Sounds great.
But yeah, I think the Williams, like looking at the Williams thing, like James Vowles did an interview last year on Beyond the Grid podcast, which is a great podcast if you want to learn about F1 history or modern day stuff. Don't know why I'm giving them a little plug. James Vowles did an interview on that podcast with Tom Clarkson, and Tom Clarkson asked him the question like, or Carlos was asked in a press conference if he would think about a return to Ferrari in the future. And he said, yeah, it's never off the cards. Ferrari's one of the best teams in the sport, blah, 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 or the best team in the sport. And Tom Clarkson put that question to James Vowles and said, what do you think of that? And he goes, yeah, I'd say the same. Like, racing for Ferraris, it's the best team. It's the crown of Formula One and whatever. And he goes, but ask him that question in 3 years' time when we're beating Ferrari. He won't say the same because he's built this team back up to winning races and winning championships and beating Ferrari every week. I'm not being funny, but the last few races now, we are outscoring Ferrari or out-qualifying Ferrari. One of the two. So...
Okay, Dave.
Good old JV comes through with an absolute blinder, and we're not even in 2026 yet.
Very good. I really oscillate between like being so stoked for Williams and seeing them do well and how exciting that is and loving James Vowles to then hearing you talk and finding it so fucking annoying. But because I'm right about everything with Williams. Yeah, that's it. That's the only reason.
Go Skin. Sorry, you got something else.
Yeah, well, just speaking of Williams, can we talk through that incident with Albon and Leclerc?
Oh my fucking God. Oh my God.
What?
Yeah. Can we fucking talk about that?
Oh, sure.
Oh.
What do you got?
Forgot about it. Well, no, what were you going to ask first, Skin?
Well, I'm scared to ask what I was going to say now because I think you'll be quite a passionate Williams fan about the crash, and you came into the office on Monday blowing up about what a dog Leclerc is, even though he gave the position back. It just boggles my mind.
I did notice that when I said all of that shit, I clocked that you were quiet, and I was like, Skin doesn't think the same as me.
Yeah, but help me understand why Leclerc even had to give that position back, or what you were so annoyed about in that instance. Because to me, it looked like, So Albon's trying to overtake Leclerc down the outside.
Yeah.
They get to the apex. Leclerc goes out wide and Albon gets pushed off the track. It looks very similar to a couple of weeks ago when we were debating the Max versus Oscar at the same corner where
100%.
Max is trying to overtake Oscar down the outside, gets squeezed out at the apex and goes off the track.
Yep.
And you were very like...
anti-penalty.
Max is totally in the wrong. What a fucking idiot. Why
No, I wasn't like he's totally in the wrong. Like I think I was saying it was more 50-50, but if we're going to point blame, Max was dive bombing.
Right.
But in this situation, the difference is Max wasn't that far alongside. He was half a car width down the outside. When you look at the end of the braking zone, Alex was either wheel to wheel or just slightly, his front wheel was slightly ahead. So it was way more obvious that he should have been given more space. I'll be honest with you. I watched it back today because I was like, I can't go into this podcast being like so fucking hot-headed and like Williams focus if I don't truly believe that he should get a penalty for it or whatever. And I think it's a lot more 50-50 than I originally thought. And I think that the rule book apparently says that if you're trying to overtake on the outside, you need to be ahead at the end of the braking zone.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't clearly ahead. So I think if we're going to go technicality, he may not have gotten a penalty. And we also had a Chucky, fuck me dead. We also had one of the fools write in, Craig Smith wrote in asking if he would have got the penalty if he didn't give the place back. I don't know. After watching it back today, I really don't know.
Right.
I think it was smart from Ferrari because Alex was probably going to overtake him regardless on the last lap.
Mm.
So I think it was smart from Ferrari to just, if there was a question mark whether he would or not, I think it was smart to say that on the radio and then to yield it because they would probably lost it anyway. And it just means there's not even going to be an investigation. Like it had been noted, but not investigated yet. So
right.
I don't know. It could have been, but I was certainly screaming at the TV and calling Leclerc a lot of 4-letter words. I'm passionate and I put it this way. I'm not Leclerc's biggest fan going into Monaco right now.
Okay. Just based on that one crash.
It was against a Williams though, Skin.
Right.
Yeah.
So that decision to give the place back is literally just the Ferrari team's decision.
Pretty much, yeah.
No one forced their hand or anything.
No.
I find that so strange.
It would have gone noted and then they would have just gone, shit, we don't want to be investigated. Because I think it was whoever finished in P7.
Russell.
Of course it was Russell. So like Russell was within 5 seconds of Leclerc. So it would have been like, we're going to lose P5 and we're going to finish in P6. But then there's a chance we could finish in P7 if we got a penalty. So I think that's more what they were doing was just protecting that P6.
Okay. All right, driver of the day and the biggest letdown. We do this most races just like the race, I suppose, but rather than getting the community to vote on them, we just
give our opinions.
Opine, yeah. And my opinion this week is, they're not always just drivers.
No.
Like teams or things or moments or sometimes mechanics.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
But in this case, I'd say that like the pick of the day, the race day after their shocking qualifying was Ferrari, I think, to come back and put in a pretty solid effort.
It's hard to disagree with that, to be honest with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave. And then conversely, therefore, the biggest letdown was Aston Martin. They pretty much did the exact opposite.
Yep. I also wrote Aston Martin for biggest letdown.
Okay.
Everything we spoke about in part one. Driver of the day, I put Max. I thought that first move overtake and then just managed the race. Great restart after the safety car and just, guru. But it was a toss-up with me between Max and Ferrari because I agree, like the Ferraris had a phenomenal race.
Mm. Max also got real lucky with the safety cars as well.
Like, fucking hell, yeah.
It was like pretty much just as he was driving into the pits,
the safety car
just dropped. He just got like two of the easiest pit stops ever. That gave him a lovely little lead.
Yeah. Was it when in the VSC, as he was leaving the pits, the VSC ended or some shit as well? So he just managed to get it into house. It was someone, might have been Norris, can't remember. But yeah, like he was very lucky. But still, like, I think he had a great race. We now are going to do a segment that I spoke about last week. It's not called Listen to the Chocks. It's called Listen to the Fools. And we have a jingle for it, Skin.
No way.
You're not going to believe what it is.
It's disgusting.
To the fools.
I'm going to get that copyrighted so you can't use it.
No, you're going to copyright 1 minute. You're going to copyright that song. I think it might already have a copyright on it, Skin.
what's
It's a cover.
the cover? Yeah, that's
it's a
the word
cover.
I'm looking for.
Okay. Can you copyright a cover?
Surely, Wido Yankovic.
Well, yeah, but I don't say chalks. I say fools. So I'm covering your cover.
Shit.
Yeah.
Shit.
Got you with the technicality there.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah. And also, you copyright it and then we have to pay your copyright. So you're going to pay your own copyright.
Shit.
There are holes to this one, Skin.
Also, I think Wido Yankovic wrote a few more lyrics in his covers than
To the fools. Okay, so we had some questions come in on Instagram. If you've got any questions, go over to Formula Fools on Instagram and you can drop us a DM, or we will sometimes put a question box up. You can ask us questions. Joe on Instagram said, what a race from Williams 2. This was after the Miami race. He said, what a race for Williams 2. What's your take on Alex ignoring team orders, Dave, in the Miami race? Look, I think post-race, and especially a couple of weeks later, we can now look at it and go, all right, well, Carlos had a bit of damage, so him ignoring team orders was actually a good thing in hindsight. I don't think ignoring team orders is necessarily the best, but also we wouldn't have got the P5 that we got, or P4, whatever it was in Miami. We wouldn't have got such a high position had he sat behind Carlos in that early stage. I think team orders are great, but they should only be enforced 65, 70% into the race. They shouldn't be enforced within the first 50% of the race. I think it's ridiculous. So Williams need to, and this is what I'm talking about with Williams having to work on the communication and the strategy and things like that. This shit needs ironing out if we're going to win the World Championship next year, which we are. But yeah, that's my opinion. On that one, I also got from M, what do y'all think to the required 2-stop strategy this week in Monaco? So if anyone that doesn't know, we've got a mandatory 2-stop during the race. You have to pit twice.
Is this a new thing, or do they often do that at Monaco?
No, first time ever.
Really?
Ever in the sport they've enforced 2 stops.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds good, doesn't it? Doesn't Monaco normally suck because no one can ever overtake?
Yeah, exactly.
It just sort of gives an opportunity for more stuff to happen, surely.
Yep. And I think, I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure Pirelli have chosen a softer tyre, so that means that they'll degrade quicker. So hopefully we see, like Imola's the same. I think I said last week, Imola's going to suck. Like, make sure you've got coffee with you because it's not going to be a great race to watch. But it was a 2-stop race because the degradation was so high. The race was fucking great. Crashes helped as well, but like, you know, it was a good race because of the 2 stops as well. And I think I'm hoping Monaco will throw that up. I'm really fucking hoping that we don't have a top 10 that just qualify and then finish in the same position. That would suck. So yeah, I reckon it's a good thing. I would love to see it on tracks like Budapest, probably Imola as well. Like I would like to see it, I mean, we know Imola's going, but like tracks that are more difficult to overtake, or maybe Spa. It's not more difficult to overtake, but it's just always less overtaking. Yeah, I like tracks where we've not had more traditional F1 tracks that are more difficult with this era of cars. Let's enforce it on some of them ones to just try and make the racing more interesting, I reckon.
Okay.
Kind of froth it.
I like it. We've also had a question from Rika Welzy. I've done that.
Her name's Erica.
Okay, thank you. Yep, I've done a terrible job of that. It's from Erica. You've given it to me as if I should be answering it. I don't know the answer, so I'm just going to ask you, Dave. How many sets of each tyre does a team get, driver, for the whole weekend?
Yeah. So 13 sets.
That wasn't a yes, no question, Dave.
No, it wasn't. I was more just like, yeah, you asked the question correctly.
Thank you.
Well done, Skin. So it's 13. I had to look this up because I wasn't 100% on the wet tyres. It's 13 sets of dry weather tyres, 4 sets of intermediates, and 3 sets of full wets. They don't have, because you said of each tyre, they don't have a select amount of soft, medium, hards. Each team will elect for each driver what they're going to take to each race.
Okay.
So each driver might have, they're usually all around the same amount. It might just be the medium to hard. Some teams might take an extra set of hards, one less set of mediums, or vice versa, depending on how their car reacts to tyres. Like at the moment, McLaren's really good on their tyres, so they're probably taking more mediums than, say, Red Bull or Mercedes that aren't as good on their tyres during the race. They might take an extra set of hards.
Okay. So they get that for the whole weekend. 13 sets of dry weathers, 4 sets of intermediate.
Yep.
3 sets of full wets.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of tyres.
Yep.
So what would have happened this week for Ferrari to be telling Leclerc, you can't pit we don't have a set of tyres that will make it to the end of the race.
Because you've got to think they've got to do 3 free practices where they need to set the car up. So if you've got 3 sessions there, let's say you're using 2 tyres per session, you've just lost 6 tyres there, and you're potentially running them 6 tyres quite far. You've then got qualifying, and in qualifying, you pretty much want to put a fresh set of softs on in each session. But in Q3, probably 2 new sets, maybe. So again, you're losing another 6 set of tyres there that are all, we call them scrub if they're not a fresh set out the blankets. So sometimes you can have a scrub set that you've used in free practice of mediums or hards that have maybe done 2, 3, 5 laps. They've not done a shit ton. And like, remember when you went down to the Adelaide 500? Mm-hmm. Did you and Lee did the tyre scraping? You did something with that. So they'll do the same thing. So they'll get them off the cars during free practice. They'll scrape them down so that it's smoother and it's like ready to go on in the race. So they'll do some installation laps in early free practice because they'll know, okay, this is going to be a tyre we might hit on if something goes bad in the race. And then they'll just do a handful of laps and then put that to one side. So it is actually really difficult. They used to have a lot more and the FIA have restricted it so that we are using less rubber. We've got like way lower carbon footprint and it brings the costing down. And it means that the tire strategy over your weekend is a lot more difficult. If you pop a tire in free practice or you keep, lost 4 tires in qualifying or one's full set. Mm-hmm. So like, you've got to really think about your tire strategy from the first lap on in free practice.
Right. Okay. So by the time they get to the start of the race, how many fresh sets of tyres do you reckon they'd probably have?
Usually 2. The one they'll start on and the one they'll pit on. Usually. Okay. Unless something's gone wrong with it. That's what they'll strategize for is 2 sets of freshies. But then like we saw in this race, I think it was when Lando pitted during the safety car, he put a scrub set of hards on. So he put a used set of hards on. I don't know how many laps they'd already done, but so that meant that Max put in a fresh set on because he had one extra set. It meant that Max was, regardless, he was going to be quicker because it was at least 1 or 2 laps younger than Lando's.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's that one. We also had a couple more here. Do you think Franz Hermann has a chance of getting an F1 seat soon? Have you seen these memes?
Nope.
So
enlighten me. I
told you a little bit about it before we came in. Max Verstappen did a private test or something at the Nordschleife, the Nürburgring, in I think it was a Ferrari sports car for his Team Redline thing. And he's been talking recently about wanting to enter the Nürburgring 24. So he went and did this, and the organizers of the event said, it's a small test. We don't want all the world's media showing up because you're going to come and do this. Can you register under an alias name? So he used the name Franz Hermann. He was like, I'm going to use the most German name possible. Okay. So he used this name. That was what was on the register. And it was very quick that people that were at the track were going, Max Verstappen's here. He's in the Red Line Red Bull overalls and he's going to be driving this Ferrari. He then beats the track record, sets a new record and is just like, yeah, the car wasn't set up properly or that it wasn't the best lap or whatever. And he just beats the record and then goes home.
What?
So the memes have now been that Franz Hermann is a fucking guru. And I think even F1 posted the official race result and they put Franz Hermann instead of Max Verstappen on the official race, or not the official, but on their Instagram.
Yeah, okay.
As a bit of a wink to that. So the F1 community and the memes are just blowing up with this and it's so funny to see.
Rightio. Okay, go Max.
Yeah, he's a guru. Yeah.
Yeah, can drive.
He can drive. I think there's one more on there for you, Skin, and then we'll get on to Monaco.
Yeah. This one's less of a question and more just pulling you up on something you've said recently. Hey,
Easy, Skin.
Okay. Hate to be so picky, but in your most recent ep, you said an Australian has never won the World Drivers' Championship, but in 1980, Alan Jones came home with the championship. Before this, Jack Brabham won the 3 Formula One World Driver Championships, 59, 60, 66.
Yeah. Not my finest work.
So you suck.
Yeah, I suck quite significantly.
Self-appointed expert up there, eh?
The funny thing is, I got home and was editing it and I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. I'm like, because I thought Jack Brabham, I was like, he's English. He's 100% English. And I'd forgotten about Alan Jones. I was like, Jack Brabham, he's English. There's no way. Completely forgot about Alan Jones. I posted the podcast and my dad phones me up. He's like, yeah, Dave, you're wrong. And I was like, Fuck. So then I swiftly went in and removed that from the podcast.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You haven't let the world know that you got something wrong.
If we all of a sudden get...
I mean, until this point,
yeah, I'm not going to cut this out. If we all of a sudden get 1 million downloads on that podcast tomorrow, I don't want 1 million people thinking that I'm that much of an idiot when I've called myself an expert.
Fair enough.
Then they'll listen to this one and go, what an idiot.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure 1 million people will stumble across that episode tomorrow.
Yeah, literally.
We need to be concerned about that.
Exactly. Okay, Monaco Grand Prix is coming up this weekend. Here's 3 things you need to be looking out for. First thing, we've already said, mandatory 2-stop, game changer. First time we've ever had it. Second thing, qualifying is king around Monaco. So if I was you and you are not usually a qualifying viewer, go and watch qualifying. It's going to be a good qualifying session. I'm going to imagine Lando's probably going to get annoyed, potentially crash. We saw him do it in whatever street circuit, Miami, I think it was. So it wasn't Miami, was it? It was a night one. Was it Jeddah? Jeddah. So yeah, watch qualifying. It's going to be guru. And yeah, race is basically no overtaking. So let's hope this 2-stop strategy and let's hope qualifying are interesting, because if them 2 things are good, then maybe we might have a good race.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? That is what Monaco is. If you care at all about the glitz and the glam and the fashion shows, also keep an eye on social media for all of that shit, because people froth that, and I feel like it's the only reason Monaco is still on the calendar with these modern cars. So yeah, but I also love Monaco. Yeah, I just wish we had smaller cars.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's got a heap of like historical stuff. Surely they're never going to take it off the
no. Oh my god, I feel like
historical reasons, but it's just a bit weird now that there are huge cars and tiny streets.
Yeah. We should do an episode on why Monaco, or like Monaco's history, or why Monaco should never leave the calendar or something. We should do a poddy just on that.
Look at you brainstorming. Go do this.
Yeah, live on the pod. I've got a great story from Monaco as well that you're not gonna believe.
Okay.
Well, that wraps up another lap at the Formula Fools podcast. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and it is now your turn to join the Fools family by connecting with us on social media and becoming a fellow fool. This font is so much smaller on your phone than using a laptop.
Okay, yeah, that's the problem.
Oh, Skin! What? You just destroyed me live on the pod. There's no coming back from that.
You do all this great work, Disc, and then as soon as you try and read something scripted, it's like...
Yeah, I suck at reading. I should just do a default intro and outro and then just hit the button and play it. No, Disc. Anyway, that is at Formula Fools on Facebook and at Formula_Fools on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok.
Yes, you can also leave us a rating and review wherever you're listening. If you're going to review something, maybe don't bother mentioning Dave's inability to read. We're all well aware of that, but a little 5-star rating, that always helps. Helps us get up some charts, get more people listening.
Yeah, we're not going to get that million without ratings and reviews. So.
Exactly.
Thank you for joining us at Formula Fools, where every turn is a chance for a good laugh. See you next time.
Bye.